Welcome to another episode of Bright Insights, the podcast that leads you to less stress and more success. Here's your host, Paul Bright.
Hello everyone, welcome to Bright Insights. I am your host, Paul Bright. Season 2, Episode C is for confidence. The bottom line up front. Build confidence in yourself before you can start building it in your team. You know what the episode is about now. Let's talk about the why. Confidence building isn't automatic. It's a step-by-step process that gets more complex as you level up, so to speak. If you've been really good at your job for a long time and become an expert in your trade, whether you're a machinist or an administrative expert, or you are a product pusher, sales, whatever it is that you do, that's great. It's good to be an expert. That's likely what led to you becoming a leader or a manager. But let me tell you, when you become a leader or a manager, that hands-on experience doesn't exactly mean you can teach everybody else. You got to learn how to teach everybody what you know. You got to learn what you don't know. You got to make sure everybody that you do teach is doing it the right way and maintaining a level of patience and understanding that they're not at your level already. They have to grow there. And you have to build confidence in them to do that. But you have to build confidence in yourself first. It starts with you. You have to learn about yourself, what you know, what you don't know, how to go about learning what you don't know, teaching someone else how to do it all, and then being confident that they can do it. Those are all parts of leadership, is being able to hand off the reins confidently. Well, I had an opportunity to interview someone who does exactly that. Murray Unger is a confidence-building coach out of Canada, and he found himself at the bottom of the self-esteem barrel before turning it all around through some interesting ways and making confidence-building another career. So let's listen to this interview so you can have less stress and more success with confidence building. Okay, so what sort of are you from Canada?
Yep.
You're from
Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. We live about a half hour north of there now. My wife and I bought an acreage 8 years ago.
Okay.
So we've got a little place in the country. I still work. My day job is still in the city. My folks are there. Most of my family's there. So
You're a dispatcher of some sorts?
Yeah, I dispatch heavy trucks for a courier company. So we do direct drive, local courier, that kind of stuff, flat decks, that sort of.
So you're out there, you've got kids? You got a wife and kids?
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Three daughters. I've got twins that are 5.
Ooh.
And then the baby is 16 months on Tuesday. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you got quite a house full there.
Yes.
So that's your day job. So what other businesses are you into now?
So I also I am an online health and fitness coach with Beachbody.
Okay.
Which I got into partly because of having kids. So I was pretty out of shape until most of my life, let's say. And then when the kids were 2.5 or so, they were playing at the park, and they were kind of at that point where they wanted me to come and play, and I didn't have the energy. And so I got into, I decided I was going to make some changes, make some, physical improvements. And that's what led me into that. As a sort of recent side to that, I've also started getting into like one-on-one coaching, working with people on, building confidence, building consistency in their routines in their lives, that sort of thing. So
Right. Oh, that's really good. So it's like you levied the whatever you got out of Beachbody into a personal consulting deal. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah. Right. So, and it's something that I'm, quite passionate about it, because I've seen firsthand, where that sort of consistency and those improvements can change your life, because I don't say I'm a completely different person than I was, 3 years ago, but a lot has changed. I wouldn't I wouldn't be here recording with you, for
Oh, really?
example.
Oh,
So,
wow.
oh no, yeah, no, I was pretty shy. So
Okay. And the shyness was due to a lack of confidence, I'm assuming?
yeah, lack of confidence. Didn't really believe in my own capabilities. With a lot of things. So, like in my day job, I've been there 14 years.
Right.
So I've developed a little bit of confidence in what I do there, but I've never been able to carry that really into much else.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been something that I can sort of build myself up to the point where now I can, do things that I wouldn't have done before. And yeah, maybe I'll suck, but at least I tried.
There you go. That's a really good way of putting it. Because again, a lot of the listeners are first-time leaders. They're people that some of them have been thrown into the wolves. Like, okay, guess what? Bob Smith just quit. He was manager. You're the most experienced, so you're going to be sitting in and you're going to be running these meetings. It's like, what if you've never even been a Boy Scout or on a team or anything like that? Where does the confidence come from? You might be really good at your job, but not necessarily with everything else, like public speaking, which is part of every management position. You would say some of maybe your lower points were probably right before a turnaround of sorts?
Yeah, like with the kids there, it was very much a catalyzing moment. I've had times where I've slumped, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
since then. It takes time to build any kind of consistency. So, there's been lots of times where I felt like I was just gonna give up on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too tired. The kids were up late. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've definitely had low moments. With personal relationships at work. Or
Mm-hmm.
interpersonal relationships, I should say. At work and that kind of thing, where I've gone. You almost like reverted to a past state, and
Yeah.
it's been an effort of will to kind of say no. That's not how this is anymore. I'm not going back to that.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I think that is one of the myths is that once you do build some sort of confidence or get really good at something, is that you'll never have a point of failure again, or you'll never have a challenge again. And I know that to not be true. So describe more about what it is that gets you past those.
I use a number of tools. As I say now, it's become very much habit to take certain actions every day that I know will set me up for success. One of those is getting up at 4 o'clock every morning.
Ooh,
I get up, I do my workout, because I do that at home, right? So I get that all done before I
oh,
leave
okay,
the
good.
house,
Okay.
and then I'm set, right? I do some work. I connect with people. I do a lot of my coaching stuff before I leave. So by the time I leave the house, go out to greet the day, whatever that is, I'm already feeling good. I've helped somebody. I've helped me. I've done the things that I know I need to do to sort of keep that momentum rolling. Um, and other things too, like affirmations, certain journal prompts that and that kind of stuff comes and goes a bit with
Mm-hmm.
me. I don't necessarily stick to any particular, specific format for that.
Okay.
I'll change that, with the season I'm in kind of, but there's usually something going on where oh yeah, okay, this is a reaffirmation of a goal or a recommitment to sticking to a program or that kind of thing. So
Okay. That's really good. That's a good idea about building a routine of sorts. And it sounds like you start with you is the beginning of your routine. It's not like, oh, what got to do for this and what I got to do for that person, what I have to do for this.
yep,
Let me start with Murray.
yep, absolutely. And I read a lot of personal development,
Right.
and that's in a lot of it. There's things about building small habits that are easy to trigger, because
Yes.
then the small habits they snowball into the larger habits, right? So when I was first starting out and trying to get workouts in every day, the goal for the morning wasn't get up and do a 30-minute workout. It was get out of bed and put on my workout pants.
Oh, yeah.
right? It was just that first, because once the workout pants were on, it was like, well, I'm already wearing these goofy things. I'm gonna just, I might as well,
I
right?
might
So
as well do 30 burpees right now.
well, exactly, right? So those habits, trigger into each other until you realize, oh, I'm done, right? I did the thing that I was dreading doing, or
Right.
didn't think I could do. So
Right.
It's very much a key component is developing triggers that for things that you want to do, but you don't feel like you want to do.
Right. But they just have to happen.
It's gotta, right? Because I know what happens when I don't do them.
So it takes that little step back. And sometimes I've seen where if you build up enough of those routines and those habits and you build them up to a point, when you take a step back, it's not nearly as far of a fall as it is with the steps up that you've made. So it's more of a slippage.
Yeah, very much so. I've actually gotten to the point. So when early days, I made sure I was doing some kind of physical movement every day, because if there was an off day, that led to 2 off days, that led to 3 off days, that led to an off 6 months.
Right.
Whereas now I build in a scheduled rest day every week, and it doesn't feel like I'm skipping.
Yeah.
It's part of the process, right? So
right.
I make time that day to do, a little bit of light stretching, so there's still some movement, but I spend that time on, a project or something that's fulfilling in a different way,
right.
so that I still am making that choice to use that time effectively.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're still building in your you time. That's really cool.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, it's pretty amazing that in 3 years you've gone from being your least confident to now you're coaching people into helping build confidence. So what's been like the most consistent tool that you're like, I've done this so much, I can teach this to other people like that, and they can choose to do it or not?
Honestly, it's the probably the biggest tool, the most effective tool would be getting up earlier. And it's funny because I've talked with people, and you go into a conversation with somebody and you tell them, oh, you need to get out of bed earlier. Guess how that goes. And
yeah,
people are, people have their schedule, right? They're like, no, this is when I go to bed. This is, this is my life. This is what I deal with every day. And I say, listen, I get it. I have twins. They didn't sleep till they were 2.5. I know where you're coming from. Trust me on this. Get up 15 minutes earlier. It doesn't have to be very long, because it's not about the time. It's about the choice.
Yes.
And that has been huge with myself, obviously, and then with other people I find as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm not someone who likes to do that. but but when I have done it, it's made a huge difference. So and that helps build times. And it sounds like when you can build the time to build the habits, and that starts to lead towards a more confidence.
Yeah,
which I've never really made that connection.
Yeah, it's a victory literally the minute you get out of bed.
That's
so You've already got this, hey, I'm a champion, like,
yeah.
So it's a shift.
Okay. I like that. So when you can notch these little victories, that spills into even more confidence of like, well, if I can do this, then I can definitely do this next thing.
Well, and you never, you don't lose the progress entirely, because like you said, you still remember, even if you've forgotten the form of how to do it, you still remember that you did it, right? So
yes.
you're still a step further than you were.
Yes. So. Yeah, that's good. It's a good reminder to look at how far you've come, no matter where you're at. So, so what are some success stories you've had with your coaching?
Just people kind of really coming into a realization of how much they can do. I don't want to say how easy it is, because it's not easy. I mean, it is hard work, but basically to the point where you kind of look back and say, I just wish I'd started that sooner.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're able to help people open their eyes to their own abilities.
That's basically the goal. Yeah.
So it's not like you're necessarily teaching them a magic skill as far as like, oh, now you're going to be able to build a log cabin when I'm done with you.
Well, no, I could use that out here though some days. I don't know. But no, it's really, it's fundamentals, right? And it's one of those things that I think we've all heard it before, but sometimes you hear it in a different voice or in different words or in a different format, and you suddenly go, oh, I get it now. Right.
Yes.
And because I had people telling me for years, right, like, oh, if you worked a little harder at this, you'd see these improvements, or if you made an effort in trying to get along with people at work, this would improve your work environments, or that kind of thing. And
Right.
yeah, right. Sure. And then I took a Dale Carnegie course, and suddenly I was like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. I get that. All right. And that snowballed into a bit of a passion for me for personal development. And now
Right.
I read all kinds of that stuff. So
yeah, we're always in. I have a friend, Bill DeMarco. He taught me this phrase. He said he's always in permanent beta. And I was like, what does that mean? He says, even though I teach leadership, I am in no way a leadership expert. I'm always learning because people are always changing. So you always have to go back and dig in some of the old stuff and then find out what's going on with the new. He said, so I'm in permanent beta. I was like, that's cool. I'm totally stealing that from you, Bill. So,
yeah, I like that. That's a good look, a good way of looking at it, because we should always be learning, right? You stop learning and you stagnate. So
Right. You can be the best confidence coach builder. But if you stop learning, you're going to be stuck where you're at if there's other people that need more than what you can give at the moment. So it's like you have to keep adding on and adding on and adding on.
And it's great because that builds me.
Yes.
Right. Which is where this whole thing started. So,
yes.
It's all of the work that I do, the Beachbody coaching, the one-on-one coaching,
right.
It all helps me be the best I can be, and then help other people, take that next step and that next step and that next step. Right. Because I can learn it, and then I can, pass it on. Right. So.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, it's just better to be honest up front, and it's like the people that follow you are like, okay, we got you. We're here for you. So they're there for you and you're there for them. And it just works out versus trying to pretend like you slept well when you didn't.
Yeah. Well, that's, any mentor, mentor type relationship like that. It should be reciprocal, right? If I'm not getting anything out of the relationship with them, I'm doing it wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you want that back and forth. So.
Right. So do you supervise people at your day job?
Yes and no. I told you I've been there 14 years.
Right.
So I have seniority in my department, but everybody's on an even playing field. So I get to train everybody, but generally speaking, it is even. Like I said, we're equals. I just have more experience because I've been there longer. So
right.
Which is a good thing and a bad thing some days.
So what do you do different now, if anything, to build confidence in your with your coworkers, building it in them that you may not have been doing 3 years ago?
I listen to their ideas. I don't just shut down ideas, because I've tried them before. Because maybe I have tried them before, but I haven't tried them the way they're going to try them, right?
Oh,
so I definitely allow more ownership, them to take more ownership of the position. When it started with me as a one-man show in that department, and then as they added people, I didn't really let go well of what I needed to let go of for them to step into that role, right? So for a long time we had a bit of a revolving door, because people would come in and try to do a good job, and I basically wouldn't let them. And so now it's the dynamic is much different. Where there's not just 3 people doing their jobs. We actually have a team, who step in for each other. Hey, I saw while you were on the phone. So, I helped this driver, that kind of thing.
Right.
And it's really improved the whole dynamic at the office, which is nice because it sucked before. So
yeah, you were holding on to what you knew you could do.
yeah. Well, and I had it structured in such a way that it had, in my head, it had to happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
And if they didn't do it that way, then I couldn't keep up. So it came down to a lack of confidence in myself, right? Because I didn't think I'd be able to step in if they did something wrong.
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't know where they had left it, right? So, so it's definitely allowed me more freedom to, to delegate, to open the room up a bit more.
Right. So as a de facto leader, like when you're building confidence in your team and your coworkers, it actually makes your job easier.
It really does. Yes, it absolutely does, because they'll just say, "Oh, you were stuck on a long call, and this email came in about this problem. I just took care of it." Whereas before, I would have literally had to walk them through step by step, because they wouldn't have wanted me to get angry, there to be an issue, right? It's been huge. It's great. It makes the days so much simpler.
There's a return of investment in that, in building confidence that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that idea that you're as you're building confidence in yourself, you turn around and build it into others, and then it makes your job easier. Well, it makes everybody's jobs easier, actually. Absolutely.
Well, that's what they say, right? Every time you improve yourself, you improve everyone around you, right? The whole world
like that.
is brought up, right? So, officially with all of the problems from the pregnancy and the birth and everything, and really turn things around, our relationship.
Well, thank you so much for your interview. It's great to hear that you're somebody that was able to 3 years ago turn it around to where you're teaching confidence at both the mental health level and the physical level, and constantly building on yourself, and it's spilling into your day job too. And that's awesome. That's really awesome.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Bright Insights. For more information on how to have less stress and more success, visit brightinsightsmedia.com.
If you enjoyed this episode in particular, or the Bright Insights podcast overall, subscribe and share with your friends. That gives us a little more visibility. And with that, we can all have less stress and more success.